start and tell you a little bit about myself, and then about my vision for Secretary of the State and why I'm doing this. I was born in the north end of Hartford, and my parents were community activists, political activists. So the earliest memories I had were being out in the community and working. So wherever I lived, growing up, I showed up, I signed up, and I did work. Went off to college, worked for a couple years for Congresswoman Kennelly in Washington, went to NYU Law School. I've been practicing law for 20 years since that time, including 6 years as counsel to the House Democrats, and one of my bosses, Jesse Stratton, is right over there. And in 2000, I said, you know, I'm going to end my volunteering. I want to start running myself. And I ran against a guy named Bob Farr, who many of you I know have heard of. I beat Bob Farr on Election Day in 2000 by 43 votes. Now, there was a recount. It's like talking to Fenway Park. There was a recount, and I lost by 9 votes out of 12,000 cast. But I picked myself up, dusted myself off, and I think especially in contrast to what was happening in Florida with the Haying and Chads, it was recognized. I was appointed to the West Hartford Town Council in February 2001, ran the energetic group the next year, took back the majority, and I became the mayor of the town in which I grew up in. Served with Marianne Krog and several other organizations. If you remember back then, 2001, wake of 9/11, economy tanked. We had to figure out how to preserve schools, our property values, vibrant commercial areas, and citizen participation facing all of this problem. And we reinvented the West Hartford government. We downsized it, we streamlined it, we modernized our fire department, we changed the way we delivered health care to preserve those things. And we did it with the cooperation of the Board of Ed, the Town Council, our workers, and the citizens. Didn't stop there. It said, government needs to actually have long-range planning. How do we take a fully developed town, make sure it's strong? We created a plan. The biggest part of that plan, you've probably heard of Blueback Square, where we took 2 boarded-up, polluted car dealerships, transformed it into a $150 million mixed-use development that has created 600 permanent new jobs in the area, added 30,000 trips to our pre-existing center, and added over 2 mill points to our grand list. When I got to the Senate, I worked first as the chair of aging, then human services, and as Jason said, hopefully he's not going to be late to our committee meeting tomorrow, as public health. One of the things I want to just quickly say is we need to provide service to people, especially the continuum of care, our elderly and people with disabilities. Government can play a role, but it can't do it all. That's why I helped create independent transportation networks. There's 10 being designed, few up and running around the state. We're looking at one for the Valley right now that provide this transportation service. Once they're up and running, they're not a permanent line item in the state or local budget. My vision for Secretary of the State. Well, actually, before I say that, one thing. You talk about a lot of policy. You've heard a lot of things that people do and billions of dollars of deficits and things like that. But going back to my roots, the reason I really do this is because of the small things. And I was called when I was first mayor by a 93-year-old woman who couldn't get her recycling out to the curbside. And I thought, I'm mayor, you know, I'll call Public Works and they'll get it done right away. And what happened, Mary? It took 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks I took the woman's recycling and trash out to the curbside. But it's those kind of smaller things that actually make you go to sleep at night with a smile on your face, thinking you did something. My vision for Secretary of the State. 1, build upon the participation that we have, not just at the ballot box, but doing it every day. Citizenship is not seasonal. And as a matter of fact, we don't capture enough people on a daily basis. We had a youth commission when I was in West Hartford that captured kids. We use our libraries to especially get to some of the newer communities to bring them into the fold. Second, most important thing, as we reorganize government, like we did in West Hartford, like the state has to do, the Secretary of State's office should become the business advocate. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have it right there. I have, in addition to my law firm, I'm a small business person, 3 LLCs. First place I saw was the Secretary of State's office. When we simplify our economic development machinery, we should link that directly with, perhaps even house it in the Secretary of the State's office. Finally, along that, using e-government, the Connecticut Education Network, which links the town halls, the internet, to get more information out to citizens, to businesses, so they can do what they do best. So I'm in this because I want to continue the public service. I have a vision that I think fits in with where we need to go with the state, and people are angry out there. It's tough. And the problem that we face as Democrats is the right The right wants us to be angry, because when we're angry, we're not smart. And we have to remind people about the smart way of doing things. And I want to be a part of that team, the conversation that can get the job